Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm World Dragon, and we are starting a brand new game today, Burden of Command. It seems kind of similar in concept to All Quiet in the Trenches, but the gameplay is completely different. We're set in World War II for a start, and it seems like a hex-based type of combat game as opposed to the singular man control or the trench fighting that we have from All Quiet in the Trenches. But the concept of story-based, getting to know your troops, having to make difficult decisions, that is apparently in the game. So we're going to give it a go and see what happens, see what it's like. And so let's go ahead and start a new campaign. Let's go balanced. And yeah, I guess see what happens. I've not really looked at the game much before. Like I said, I know it's supposed to be on a similar-ish vein, as I went and said, but how it stacks up, I'm not going to be sure. But like I said, let's see how it does. 24th September 1942, Virginia, United States. This campaign occasionally shows disturbing images of graphic violence intended to convey the true burden of war. If this is not fit for you, then please consider refunding the game now.
Hello, this is Luke Hughes, lead designer for Burden of Command, and I'm breaking through the fourth wall today, ouch, to thank you. Thank you for taking a risk on something new, a leadership RPG. Now I imagine you're here hoping to test your mettle as a leader, emotionally, morally, tactically.
Okay, I'm not actually interested in listening. Oh, playtester feedback was that tutorial videos greatly ease their learning curve. Videos are typically a minute. Reconsider watching them. No. You had to skip the video and you got a pop-up saying, like, not an in-game pop-up because none of you saw it. It was like a Windows pop-up. Camp Pickett, Virginia. Commence my journey. Morning dew dribbles down the bright leaves of the forest. Ahead, Platoon Sergeant Bennett leads the way beneath the canopy. That should be the hill, he notes and gestures toward the rise to the east. Bit of a walk, but we're close. On his back is slung the standard issue American M1 rifle, a near twin to your own. You take another compass bearing. We're on course, Lieutenant, Sergeant Bennett replies as your fingers rest atop the compass case. Map references were pretty clear. It wouldn't be unusual for the trainers to throw you a curve by providing a dubious map. After all, leadership is about overcoming adversity, but they can't hide landmarks or move buildings. Sergeant Bennett has been in the army since before the big draft in '40. He knows his way around. I am a recently commissioned lieutenant. Background set to 90-day wonder. Trust plus 10. Trust is how well your men react to your orders within a scenario. 10 trust is worth approximately 1 prestige or loyalty. Prestige plus 1. Prestige is how much influence you have with your superiors after a scenario is over. Background set to reservist. Loyalty is how much influence you have over your men after a scenario is over. We'll go for during a scenario. The ink is hardly dry on your commission, at least by regular army standards, but 90 days of intense training have made you feel like you could take on the world. Which is good, since the Germans and Japanese seem to be busy trying to conquer everything. The US is yet to send many divisions overseas, but really it is only a matter of time. Time to move.
So here I am, in boot camp, somewhere in Virginia, 1942, just like you will be soon. I'm going to start with our first concept that will be familiar and unfamiliar, your first learning curve aspect. So, like games like XCOM and frankly many tactical games these days, we use action points. We call them orders and they have the green dots. So this leader has 4 action points. And no surprise, when he say moves, he spends an action point, which you can see happening there.
Okay. US Army will go to war in earnest soon. As an officer, your duty will be to lead the men of your platoon. You just have to find them first. Mouse over the book icons for history or image notes. Closer now. Hills and mountains are always further than they seem. The grayscale circle that you saw float up indicate the expenditure of an order. Burden of Command runs on orders. Everything unit has some, and you can't do anything but get shot at without one. Orders are spent to move a unit. You can usually move a unit multiple times. It's a good view, good enough to see a few stragglers from your first platoon. Looks like the kitchen patrol is set on their way to the obstacle course. Sergeant Bennett notes, and if we let them dog things, they'll never get there before dinner. Verbosity is one of the 3 character traits. It reflects how much a leader likes to talk. Does not impact the tactical battlefield, but may add personalization to conversations. Yell down at those men.
This is a leadership RPG. We're always going to be focused on bringing out leadership aspects. In the Army, leaders are in charge of platoons, which is a group of squads or companies. And so there's a command structure, and we do that too. This is a squad here, part of my rifle platoon. For it to do something, I've got to order it. Or, if you want to make it simpler, activate it. So, did you see an order came up on me? Not just a squad. The squad paid its action point, but I'm just going to say order from now on. But I paid an order because effectively I ordered the squad.
Interesting. You yell down in a commanding tone, conditioned by training, they obey. A squad must be activated to utilize their own orders. Leader will spend an order to activate a squad when that squad initially shoots, moves, etc. Once the squad has been activated, they have enough direction that they can then expend 2 or even 3 orders without requiring a further leader order for the rest of the round. Right. So I can, in effect, activate 4 things a turn. Okay, and I can only go as far as they say. When the squad first activates in a round, the leader must expend an order. Call for double time, Lieutenant. Sergeant Bennett asks. Click anywhere or press any number to continue.
This squad has been activated. The leader no longer needs to pay an order to activate it. So let's move it, and you'll see no action from the leader. He didn't spend another order.
One of the squad's green available orders became grey. Spent order. Time one cost lead an order because the squad has already activated this turn. Group up with your leader.
So I'm going to come down there, join my squad, lead, grab them both, and go somewhere. Now this time, they'll both pay an order. But be careful, it's not an activation order. They're both moving. You don't get a free ride. You got to pay for the move too. So, there you go. We're similar to games you're used to. Action points. But in this case, they're really orders, and they involve things like score.
Here they are, Sergeant Bennett notes as Sergeant Layton, no relation, and his kitchen patrol reach the summit. Layton can see the obstacle course from here. Breathless, Sergeant Layton nods in affirmation. His fellow spud peelers are all but ready to drop. If only they were in better shape. From this height, you can also see a little stream whose serpentine channel marks the bounds of your own training area. The stream isn't far, which is a good thing. The stream, like other terrain, costs more movement, points to cross than flat, open land. You won't always be able to get somewhere in a single order, especially with a squad in tow. The last push should put your boots beside the stream. Bent, perhaps, but in position nonetheless. However, first you will have to detach from Layton's squad. All 4 units are in the same platoon as indicated by the dotted regions. Solid circle indicates which unit is currently selected. Leader squad. Unit selected. Both unit and leader selected. Okay. Left click on the leader portrait. Just the leader. Right click to enact the move only and put the leader here. Just lieutenant unnamed. It makes you select them and then just confirms it anyway, so that's always interesting.
Honestly, it would have been simplest to design the game as 1 unit per hex.
Okay, just down by the stream. Let's take a breather, Sergeant Bennett suggests, but we're almost there. At this point, your leader should be out of orders. Free to move your leader, one to activate the KP squad. The KP squad itself moved twice, the normal amount for a green rifle squad. Orders refresh at the start of a new turn. No questions. Very true, once those are gone, a unit can't do much but be a target. Everything important in Burden of Command costs an order. Want to move a leader? An order. Want to move a squad? The leader pays an order to activate. Shooting or assaulting? We'll get to those, but yep, an order. Since there are currently no enemy units around, just pass this round until a new game turn begins. But these guys still have an order. Okay. Forest thins. At least you spy a hint of civilization. A little wooden bridge that crosses a gully and a low wooden wall beyond it. Clearance should be just up ahead, Lieutenant. Bennett calls back to you. A movement order can span a single hex or 4, but the order cost remains the same. Your leader here. The assembly point is a simple one marked by a low retaining wall striped with white. The side of it, Sergeant Bennett flashes you a grin and stashes the map. There is a figure waiting in the lee of that wall, a fellow officer with the silver bars of a captain upon his collar and a dreaded clipboard in hand. You're nearly late, Lieutenant. The field umpire notes as he regards you. The pencil in his grasp has doomed plenty of officers to obscurity with a swift judgment. Salute. Jennifer gives you a firm warning cough, but it comes too late. Field umpire shakes his head slightly. When out in the field, such gestures are apt to attract snipers. Ah, damn it! Any impact on attack scenario. Remain silent as is proper. Then you're going to take a leadership exercise considering of no less than 3 separate field problems, the field umpire says. You and your member will be assessed based on outcomes including both objectives achieved and casualties sustained. You will take command of your rifle squad and we will proceed. Any questions? What's the mission? We'll get to that shortly, the field umpire says. They like their surprises, Sergeant Bennett remarks softly to you. More questions? We just need to find the squad, Sergeant Bennett says. That will need more than a few waypoints on the map to figure out where they're at. This path may use the fewest movement points, but it doesn't utilize terrain. But this is an exercise. That in mind, you lead the way. Mission, finish the exercise before turn 4. Men, don't get anyone killed. This squad, select your leader and move to this squad. Blam! The field umpire calls out from behind you as you move over open ground. Lieutenant Einstein, you moved over open ground where a sniper could see you. That is a potential fatal risk to take, and a dead leader is no help to anyone. Unless you've got a good reason to avoid moving through cover, you might as well make an effort to not get shot. Right, waypoints. He's right, Lieutenant. There's no point polishing a turd, the sergeant remarks. Best get moving before someone decides we got shot again. You are revived from the sniper call, the umpire says. Continue with the exercise. Our squad looks beat, Sergeant Bennett says. It's true, by all appearances, they can't possibly take another step. Some might say. The morale is low. Right now, it's dog-dick low, like they've been suppressed by enemy fire. But they don't have to stay that way now, do they, Lieutenant? Give them a speech. You could, Lieutenant, Sergeant Bennett says. It might even work if you lead them forward afterwards. Either way, I'll kick a little ass on the slackers. Good morale. Firefights 50-50, you win. Full orders, movements normal, you will pass most morale checks. Moderate morale, shaken. Enemy likely to win, orders, movement reduced, you fail most morale checks. Firefights, enemy will win. One order, no movement towards enemy, you fail morale checks. Huh. So I assume, though, if we attack yellow or red, then again, it's the other way around.
Thank you, Sergeant Bennett. Sergeant Bennett is reminding me I need to teach you about the backbone of your company's performance.
Rally will remove suppression. It will also expend all of the squad's, not the leader's, remaining orders. Time to rally. Rallying requires a fresh squad. Fresh squad, no suppression. The squad has expended an order. It is no longer fresh. The squad has merely lost an order to suppression. It is still fresh. Can you tell the difference? The squad has expended all orders. It is spent. I got that one. How do you know the difference between these two? Other than the fact it's yellow. Fresh status is only determined by whether or not the squad has expended an order yet. Orders lost to suppression don't count. Orders expended for any other reason do. Right. That's not going to get confusing in the long run at all. Your men want guidance. Your men want guidance and leadership, and that's why you're here with them. Most leaders must be grouped up with a squad to utilize certain orders. A captain would be an exception to that, but do not worry about this right now. All you have currently is a single lieutenant. Select a leader, then rally the leader and the squad. This consumes one leader order to activate the squad and all squad orders to rally. Right, what we've got down here. Minus one for rally, minus for action. That speech to the trick, Sergeant Bennett says. Once we're organized, we can get on with the exercise. Field umpire tilts his head doubtfully. The men will be ready, but the question is, ready for what? Some choices are merely informative and have no effect on gameplay. Some choices... Okay. Could I have moved the squad first? Sure, that is moving in over Hex takes the orders, and with the unit spent, it can't do enough. Proceed with the exercise. The enemy doesn't interrupt. The men will be ready to move shortly. You indicate as much to the umpire. He holds up a white flag for his opposite number across the field to see. A wave of blue flags are exchanged. The exercise will shortly resume. As long as either side has a leader with an order, the turn won't end unless both sides pass their round without spending any orders. Green dot equals order available. Grey dot equals order expended. Any solid square equals morale point. Empty grey square equals suppression. Red cross square equals stress. Every morale point equals 10%. Effectiveness, 12 morale, 120%, 3 morale, 30%.
Anyone got a light?
Oh, and the turn. Ah. Thought I did. You are ready. The men are ready. The enemy is likely ready. The enemy had a round to activate units but did nothing with it. Entrance. The enemy did nothing in response. Wonder what the clipboard wants to happen next, Sergeant Bennett asks quietly. As if on cue, the field umpire clears his throat. All right, Lieutenant Einstein, the enemy squad is in that house down there, he says and ignores Bennett as he points. You can hear the clockwork tick of his watch, faint but steady. Deploy your men and take them under fire, and remember this exercise is timed. Shouldn't we fight the last war? It'll be a tough one. Even odds, Sergeant Bennett remarks. There was a lot of that in the last war. Movement in the trees, a dozen men and more with olive drab working their way closer. These are your men, sweaty and dusted from the obstacle course, and at the back is Sergeant Grant urging the stragglers along. We should wait favor the men. Sure, Lieutenant, Sergeant Bennett says. They'll always act dog-tired after a little sweat. Looking fresh and sweet is as bad as volunteering for anything. But give them a good reason to move, and Grant will get them in gear. I trained him myself. The platoon is together again, if not precisely formed up in the best position. While you ponder that fact, the umpire's watch continues to tick. Let's bolster their spirits, Sergeant Bennett says. That always boosts morale. Though it doesn't last for long, but maybe it will be just long enough for what comes next. Reachable hexes without bolster, reachable hexes with bolster.
Remember Sergeant Bennett's wise comment that morale is the backbone of your company's performance? Well, what do you think the role of leadership is then? Of course, it's to manage that morale. Let's look at your tools. One of them is bolster. So here we have a good order unit, And if we were to attack, it'd be 50-50 on attack. It moves 3 squares. It has 70% morale check. But let's bolster it. A lot more movement. Hey, it's going to pass that morale check. And look at the firefight. Bolster enhances an already good unit so it is significantly more effective, especially for firefights. The experience and the trust of the leader comes to bear. Don't make the mistake, however, of thinking of bolster as sort of a poor man's rally, rally for one action. I've moved the leader down to this shaken squad, half morale, and I'm thinking, well, it's pretty poor for a firefight right now. Maybe I'll bolster it and it'll be fine. Well, there's some improvement. If you studied this, you'd see the suppress predictions are a little bit better, but you're still going to lose initiative. It's not a rally. If you want a unit with shaken or below morale to improve, rally. Rally, by contrast, fully restores morale for the long term. Of course, it does take a turn to do, so you'll have to pick the time and place.
Boss order will provide a boost to the morale of the unit until that unit moves, shoots, or does anything else that has the unit expend an order. Unlike rally, this does not remove suppression, but a bolster can boost a unit's maximum morale beyond its maximum. Oh. Bolster greatly increases initiative in a firefight and the chance to initiate an assault. Oh, sorry, right click. We're ready, Sergeant Bennett says. Where to, Lieutenant? Should we have Grant march down or go ahead? There are a lot of things you might want to order, but there is never enough time for the men to carry those out. Nonetheless, you're prepared to do what you can. Move this bolstered leader and squad. Detach leader and move to and rally this squad. Move this squad with a waypoint. The LT talks too much. That was interesting. Sergeant Grant stands and salutes as you approach. No need, Sergeant, not during a field problem. Of course, Lieutenant, Sergeant Grant says and swiftly lowers his hand before an umpire decides that the motion warrants a sniper check. First squad and third squad have cleared the assigned obstacle course and are ready for more. And the groans that rise up behind him, the men definitely disagree. Get them on their feet. Yes, Lieutenant, Grant replies, and then turns to do just that. You know there's only so much a sergeant can do, the rest will fall to you. Good man, Sergeant Bennett says as the squad stops loafing. I expect he'll have my job someday. Time to rally the men. All your squads are led by sergeants, or if they are casualties, corporal. They are the ones that receive your orders and act upon them. They do not appear separately on the map. Down the way, you spy movement in the house. The objective has not changed.
Time to step up, ladies!
I mean, I have to run across an open field, so there's not really much joy with that one. I can't activate any more squads. We're over the time limit, Sergeant Bennett says. We should prepare to open fire. Shoot here if you are out of orders. End the round until the turn ends. So 3 activations and I can spend another turn doing something. Got activated. There they are, Sergeant Bennett says as your men pass the word, and they've sighted movement in the house. Those down walls give them better cover than anything we've got. Nearby, the umpire with a clipboard makes a note, a lengthy one. Okay, let's prepare to open fire. Give the men some direction, and the umps will take note, Sergeant Bennett says, as your men prepare to place the revealed enemy under their crosshairs. Every little bit helps as to build up our fire against the enemy before they do the same to us. Left click to select the unit you want to have open fire, then right click the enemy. This will consume one squad order. Flanked and surprised. I know the umpire was pushing us forward, but our squad just opened fire without a plan, Sergeant Bennett says. I'll bet we could get as good as Jerry's if we have time to. Unsupervised, poorly invigorated fire likely resulted in little suppression. Field umpire remarks and writes something sharply in the margin of his clipboard sheet. Oh. The exercise halts as the umpire gets to work figuring out the damage to the enemy. Halt the exercise, the field umpire barks formally, then signs the bottom of the page with a flourish. Lieutenant, you went over to first squad and formed them up properly prior to the attack. However, you failed to do the same for third squad. This would have resulted in a number of your men being killed and time wasted until you could regroup for a full assault against a now prepared enemy. Nod. Failing to contact third squad, you put your men into a position they couldn't win. You can see that now. See to the men. The umpire is in charge here and of higher rank. There is no point arguing or protesting, especially not when the platoon needs to be organized. Sergeant Bennett falls in as you head back to your platoon. No matter what you chose, the ump was going to find fault, Sergeant Bennett says, like being married but without the fun parts. Hal, I bet getting something wrong was the point of the lesson. Rallying a squad was a good idea because if we're in for a penny, then we're in for a pound. Despite what the umps might say, the enemy couldn't be any more prepared after a 5-minute wait because the bullets hadn't started flying. Say nothing. Remember, Lieutenant, Sergeant Bennett says, this is an exercise. They wanted to teach you a lesson. Nod. Lessons in war are paid for in blood, Sergeant Bennett replies. These field problems are supposed to teach us how to lead when things go to hell. And maybe that's why there was no good answer here, because there might not be one over there. Click to access our Bokopedia for tactics, hints, and help. This question mark. Umpire declared draw. Mission draw, the men draw. Field problem reset. Loyalty earned 7, prestige earned 7. Okay. No one out of action, sir. Okay, well, we're gonna leave it there. I mean, that was the introduction. A little bit slow. I'm not gonna admit I'm not a great fan of the tutorial videos. It drew that out a lot. Obviously, once we get past those, I'm hoping this does greatly improve. I mean, I like the premise. You know, you've got morale, you've got tactics. The story elements look like they could end up being a lot of fun. When we really get into, you know, how the prestige points and loyalty and trust and all that actually greatly works in, because as it mentions, it is a leadership RPG. We'll in essence see what's going on. I feel like we may end up having another more in-depth tutorial after this one. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of hope not. I kind of hope yes, I kind of hope not. It's just, I don't know. These tutorials, they're a little bit, yeah, that was a little bit painful for me, perfectly, if I'm honest. But of course, you have to learn how to play the game. I would have had no idea about suppression, morale, fighting, how combat actually works. I mean, yeah, you have to play it. It's a very well done tutorial. It's just a little bit painful. And so on that just leaves me to say that until I see you again, as per always, I truly do hope that you will stay safe, happy, and healthy.